What is going on, degenerate gamblers, and welcome to the undefeated post-weigh-in show for UFC 282. We are taking one final look at these fighters as they step on the scales this morning, as they face off at the ceremonial weigh-ins. We're going to see if we can get any ounce of a read, if we can sense weakness, if we can see somebody stumbling, and we're going to try and take one more shot at making a profitable bet tomorrow at UFC 282. How is everybody doing? We're doing it live, baby. Undefeated post-weigh-in show live because they went late as hell for the ceremonial weigh-ins tonight. So rather than filming this bad boy, uploading it, figured I might as well just jump on camera and have a chat with you guys. None other than the Black Irish Shaman in the chat saying nobody will admit it, but Clint's never been wrong. This man knows how to kick off the undefeated post-weigh-in show. And what is going on, Joe? Thank you so much for the kind comments in the chat. Everybody do me a favor, smash the like button. As always, lines here are brought to you by Superbook Sports. Let's get into it. First fight of the night, we've got Steven Kozlow taking on Cameron Simon. Simon made 135. Kozlow made 136. And I got to tell you, I was a little bit worried about Kozlow. His eyes were like partially closed. It looked like maybe he was having a little bit of a tough weight cut, something like that. However, I actually think the guy might just be a serial killer. Like, he's up there like licking his lips and like biting the edge of his lip while he's up there. I mean, just going back and looking at it again, like I zoomed in on him, he's just like oozing confidence. He's just like feeling the moment while he's up there. And that's why his eyes were half closed. He's just kind of doing that thing up there. You know what I mean? Very, very strange. I kind of love it. Cameron Simon, extremely young, baby-faced, looking jacked, a choir boy up there today. These guys face off. Simon does have a slight size advantage, but damn, man, there is just nothing. I've been saying it all week. There's nothing here to convince me that Cameron Simon is a minus 330 favorite. Both these guys undefeated, making their UFC debuts at the same time. We've seen Simon in the Contender Series. That's the only difference. Now, so many questions around Steven Kozlow. No idea what this guy looks striking. No idea what this guy looks outside the first round. So because of those reasons, it's hard to really like put an official bet on him or something like that. But damn, plus 270 for this kid to come in and spoil the show. That's the only way that I could look. This is a Dogger's Pass spot for me. Nothing official on my side of things, but that's the only way that I can look here. We've got Mike in the chat saying under 1.5. I don't mind it. Because, I mean, all round one subs by Kozlow. And I think round one sub, if you're going to go nuts here, the round one sub prop, I do believe, is like 12-1. So if you're looking for like that big cash in, ka-ching, money-making opportunity and you want to throw that dart on Kozlow, that's probably the way to do it. Yeah, Justin, I've seen that's okay. That was not where I thought you were going with that. I have seen some good arguments for Dawkins. That was not one of them. Next up, we unfortunately lost a fight. We had a weight cut issue. We had a miss, and that fight has been pulled, unfortunately. So this card is just in shambles, absolutely falling apart at this point. The next fight will be TJ Brown taking on Eric Silva. Brown came in at 145.5, Silva 146. Brown was shredded up on the scales today, folks. He looked good. He looked relaxed. I didn't mind what I saw on the scale from TJ Brown whatsoever today. Eric Silva, on the other hand, is jacked. I mean, this guy's gave a huge flex up there on the scales. TJ, however, slightly bigger. So they face off, and TJ pumped up, looking really good. Definitely got the size advantage here. I mean, this is a Dana White Contender Series spot for me. I haven't bet it. I haven't bet any of the Dana White Contender Series spots on this card because they're all sketchy as hell. And I do just kind of want to take a bag and get out of here on Saturday. I don't really want to take any unnecessary shots or steer into the variance for this particular card. This fight's down to a pick 'em, though. Money's been coming in on TJ Brown non-stop since they opened up this line. Opened up like plus 200. Now he's all the way down to minus 110 on either side. I've said it all week. I can't trust TJ Brown as far as I can throw him. and you missed the boat, right? Like if you're getting plus 150 or better on TJ Brown, that's the side. Getting minus 110, or God forbid, if you have to lay juice on TJ, I can't get behind that. Now, this is another situation exactly like the last fight where with Eric, we don't know what he looks like outside the first round. TJ has been training out there with Thug Nasty. We could get that over. We could get that extending the new kid. We could get that, hey, what's your gas tank look like a little bit later in the fight? It's going to be extremely interesting to see what these guys do here. And I'm very much looking forward to this fight on Saturday. No bet for me. I guess I'll slightly lean with TJ Brown. I guess. I don't know. Yeah, TJ Brown. I'll say TJ Brown. I'm going to stay off it. There's no bet for me here, though. Next up, we got Alexander Hernandez making his 145 debut, taking on Billy Q. Hernandez did make 145 and a half, 146 for Billy Quarantillo. Now, Alexander Hernandez was shredded. Like, oh my God. Like, this guy has always been jacked. He's always been shredded up at 155. You get him down to 145, and I don't know how he got there, but I mean, you could see every single muscle in his arms and his chest and his shoulders. This guy is extremely well put together, and he did it. He did it. I don't know how he did it, but he did. Looked fantastic up there. Didn't look like he was that sucked out. Didn't move poorly. I don't think that cut was that bad for him, frankly, compared to what we've seen from some of these other fighters trying to drop a class. Now, Billy Q, totally relaxed. No problem from him whatsoever. We know Billy Q can make this weight class with his eyes shut. They face off. Billy Q's got a slight height advantage here. Good, intense face off. You know, you can see that Alexander Hernandez very tuned in, very focused here for this one, staring Billy Q down. And this is another one where I've kind of ping-ponged back and forth all week because I can see Hernandez coming out and starching Billy Q in round one. That's kind of what the kid does. If the cut went well, which it looks like it did, down to 145, he should have a significant strength and power advantage. We've seen Billy Q taken down, and none other than our guy in the chat, Real Deal Prime, saying wrestling rules. And that's absolutely a path to victory here, that if he's just bigger and stronger and can bully guys at 145, Hernandez is live to lock up rounds where he wasn't at 155, where that's something he couldn't do up a weight class. I am so curious about this fight. Mike in the chat saying Billy Q rounds 2 and 3, and that's a look I don't mind either. Guys, frankly, that's the way this fight goes for me. Like, I'm thinking if it ends in round 1, it's got to be Alexander Hernandez. If it ends in round 3, it's going to be Billy Q. It all comes down to how it plays out. This is a fight that I think is good for live entries. You know, this is one where you can see the shifting of the momentum. You'll be able to watch that live in the middle of the fights. So I say you jump on this one in fight. Once you see what direction it's going, that's probably the best way that you can make a bet. I'm going to go ahead and revert back to my original opinion. I'm going to say Billy Q. I think he probably just kind of gas tanks Alexander Hernandez and breaks him late, because at this point, I'm tired of losing money pretending or hoping that Alexander Hernandez is going to be something that he's not. He's kind of shown us who he is. He will slow down. He will gas out after about the 5-6 minute mark. And the way that Billy Q puts a pace on people, that intelligent jab of his should be able to help him keep the range, keep the distance. And it's not like he's going to just sit still under Alexander Hernandez. He will make him work even if he gets taken down. He'll try to scramble back up to his feet. I think that all kind of adds up for Mr. Hernandez having gas tank concerns. I'm not betting it. I'm going to say Billy Q gets the win. I'm going to make him my pick. I'm not betting it. I will see if there's an opportunity for me to jump in live, but that'll be about it here for me on that one. Joaquin Buckley taking on Chris the Action Man Curtis. Buckley made 185 and a half. Buckley 186. And of course, Joaquin Buckley absolutely jacked. Gave a huge flex on stage today. Chris Curtis, big smile, having fun. I mean, he was doing like one-armed push-ups and stuff like that coming out for the face for the weigh-ins. I absolutely love it. But you know what? They got to the ceremonials, and Buckley got pissed off. I mean, he stepped in hard on Chris Curtis. Like, he was ready to throw hands at the face-offs today. And I'm not quite sure what that was all about, because I don't know. Chris Curtis was asking him, he's like, why are you so upset? Like, it was the weirdest thing ever. We know Chris Curtis, he has fun out there, but I've never seen him really like get under the skin of somebody the way he has Buckley. Now, this is a spot where I'm a little bit surprised by the size difference. Chris Curtis is a decent bit bigger than Joaquin Buckley. Buckley is always on the short end of the stick when it comes to height and stuff like that. We expect that. But Chris Curtis, not a big 185er. I kind of thought these guys would size up a little bit better. But my guy Chris Curtis is a decent bit bigger. So it's a spot I've been looking at all week, guys. You know me. I love my action man. I think he's always underrated. I think Chris Curtis at plus 145 in a pick'em style fight, a guy who's technically better, a guy who's more accurate with his punches, the way he likes to attack and rip the body. Like, I think Chris Curtis is probably the side here. I haven't locked in a bet yet because I know I'm biased on Chris Curtis, so I'm trying to figure out if I think it's actually a good bet or if I am just a little bit biased for my guy. I am looking at the over 1.5, though. The minus 155 over 1.5 seems pretty good to me because everybody who comes in and tries to car crash with Chris Curtis goes down hard. We know this. Joaquin Buckley knows this. So, like, I got to think he's probably going to come in with a bit more of a technical game plan. And even when Chris Curtis does car crash with people, it takes him around. You know, he gets the timing. He measures his opponent. He starts countering. Once he figures out your rhythm, then he starts going to work. And that's the kind of situation where I do think it'll take him around to get loose, to get opened up. And then once he's able to do that, he will go ahead and start putting, you know, combinations together. He will go ahead and start attacking his opponent's body. And I think that's where we'll start to have a little bit of success. So Chris Curtis, I'm actually thinking almost by decision. I mean, there's always that chance of like a late round 3 TKO or something like that. But I think Chris Curtis by decision is probably the way to make it go here. Buckley said stupid Curtis will make him pay. I'm not sure what that means. I'm trying to figure out exactly what you mean by that, Justin, but I'm not sure. What's up, Sean, in the chat? How you doing? My guy Mike saying Curtis round 2 TKO. I wouldn't hate that. Would not hate that. And Mark encouraging me to always go with your first gut instinct. And yeah, I think that's the move here, Mark. I absolutely think that's the move. Think long, think wrong. That's the rule, especially when it comes to gambling, poker, you know, sports betting. Every once in a while, you'll find like a gem or something like that. But seriously, like 8 out of 10 times, it's going to be your first gut instinct that is more than likely correct, especially if you're someone like, you know, us. We do this every single week. That little voice in the back of your head picks up on things that your brain is not quite registering. And usually that turns out to be the right side. Dolce Lungiambula taking on Edmund Shabazz. Sorry, I'm looking off over to the side here for this one, guys. My notes are on my other screen, and I couldn't get them over. I wanted to jump on live for you as quick as possible since we're already late tonight. We've got Dolce coming in 185.5. Edmund matched that at 185.5. And Dolce, as always, folks, jacked. Oh, my God. Another guy, I just don't know how he makes it, right? Like, this man is massive. I don't have any idea how he gets down to this weight class. So Dolce Lungiambula, pretty sucked out. You know, his cheeks pop out at 185. That's always kind of been his deal. He's a guy that fought at 205 for the majority of his career. Edmund Shabazz, though, looked fantastic. He's in great shape, big smile, solid flex. He's relaxed. He's looking like he is ready to go. This was very respectful with Dolce, except that, you know, eyes popping out of his head doing the crazy eyes thing. You got to love that. You got to love the crazy eyes from Dolce Lungiambula. It's definitely a thing that he likes to do. Guys, this is the only bet I've made on the entire card so far. I have got Edmund Shabazz inside the distance at minus 115. And I think whether it's a knockout or a sub, and I do think it'll be a sub, which I have a shot on at 8-1. I just think he finishes. Like, I think this is the spot where we see the golden boy make his glorious return to the stage. He's 25 years old. He's finally gotten out of a toxic training situation. He's training at a real, legit, good camp, and he's getting a massive step down in competition against the guy who has been finished at the UFC level a lot. So I think he's going to have every advantage on the table, except for maybe in the pure judo. Like, that's the one thing that if there's one thing Dolce Lungiambula is better at than Edmund Shabazz, it's judo. So I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. We should have Edmund Shabazz absolutely roll here in this spot. And I do think once Dolce gets clipped on the feet, he'll fire one of those blast double legs and get caught in a guillotine or something along those lines. Edmund talked about wanting to really show off, you know, something new this fight. And I think that's going to be his ground game. I think that's going to be the thing he's been working on, his secret weapon that he's ready to expose here. And Dolce is going to be the guy on the receiving end of it. Next up, Chris Daukaus, Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Daukaus came in at 242.5, Rozenstruik 261.5. So Rozenstruik coming in a bit on the heavy side for him. He's a smaller 255er or 265er, but he's coming up in the 260s for this one, which, you know, usually says a little bit of something. Chris Daukaus, classic Daukaus. I can't say much about him. You know, he carries all that extra weight. I've talked about how I think he could make 205. I actually think he said in an interview this week he believes he might be able to get down to 205 also. So I'm not the only one thinking it. Jairzinho, classic biggie boy. I mean, he doesn't look any different from ever. This guy, he's so full, like where I can see the flabbiness, the weight coming off of Chris Daukaus. Jairzinho is packed with muscle. You'd have to cut his leg off for him to make 205. Height advantage goes to Chris Daukaus, though. That was something. He's got an inch or two. You know, Jairzinho is just the shortest guy in the division at heavyweight. I don't know how. I don't know why. He's listed as like 6'3" or some shit, but there's no way. He's like 6 flat. The guy is tiny. I do still side with Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I did the sharp action report with my guy Andrew from Superbook Sports, and we went over everything that they got across the counter, and their number 2 guy, he told me afterwards, by the way, that the sharp that did go ahead and move in on Jairzinho Rozenstruik is the number 2 MMA better over there with Superbook Sports. So that speaks massive volumes to me. This is another go with your gut, go with your initial read type of situation. I said Jairzinho Rozenstruik early in the week, and I heard nothing but echo chamber. You know, me and everybody else on the planet likes Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and you guys know me. That scares the shit out of me because I'm used to being the dog hunter. I'm used to being the crazy sumbitch, betting on somebody who nobody likes, seeing value on a plus 450. Like, that's me. That's what I do. So when everybody's like, yeah, you're totally right. Me too. I'm like, oh shit. Am I? That's how I feel every time people agree with me. So that's one of those spots where like I kind of shied away from it a little bit. I do still think that Jairzinho is the side. I think Chris Daukaus eventually is going to have to engage, and when he does, the power advantage is going to go to Jairzinho. I don't mind violence in this spot, though, whether it be the under 1.5, which could get a little hairy for you, or the fight doesn't go the distance. You know, both these guys, Chris Daukaus' hand speed is still definitely something you got to watch out for, and it's not like Jairzinho hasn't been knocked out. So again, I'm not loading up on it. I'm just telling you the information that I got. Superbook Sports, their number 2 guy is betting on this man to get the job done, and they're taking a position accordingly. So, you know, when the bookies are begging for money on the other side of a fight and they want to be anchored to a specific spot, I mean, I pay attention when that kind of stuff happens. You guys do whatever you want with that information. I'm not going hard on it or anything like that. Sometimes I would use that information and make a big bet on it and just kind of jump in on the people who I know out there that are smarter than I am. But this time, I don't know. I got the heebie-jeebies this week. Jay Perrin taking on Raul Rosas Jr. Both guys made 136. And Jay Perrin also was sporting the crazy eyes today, which you guys know I love. The crazy eyes is good shit. He was spazzing out, man. Absolutely hyped up. It's him against the world in this spot. And I kind of love the attitude he's taken with it. Now, Raul Rosas, no issues whatsoever weighing in. Jay Perrin got booed by the live crowd when he came out today. That was fun stuff. And both guys were jawing, man. They were talking each other off here at this face-offs. I mean, Jay Perrin calling him a pussy. Like, you could hear it on the mics. It picked everything up. They were talking some serious shit for this face-off. I'm extremely excited about this fight. I mean, you've got a serious test for this kid. He's only 18 years old. Jay Perrin coming in with the right attitude to try to take somebody else out when he's being put in this spot where the UFC is kind of, you know, propping the other guy up to have success off of your name. It's going to be a fun fight. I still lean to Raul Rosas Jr. I do still think that the UFC, their best laid plans, like, I don't think they're going to go down in flames. But shit, if you guys are watching Bellator right now, we just saw their, you know, number 1 seed wrestler guy get starched in the first round. He was a minus 2,000 favorite and got knocked out in round 1. Like, shit happens. You know what I mean? This is a fist fight. People are wearing tiny ass little gloves and hitting each other in the face. Anything can happen in this spot. We have seen Rosas Jr. slow down over the course of the fight. Perrin has been exceptionally durable throughout his career and just kind of peppers people with shots and pressure constantly. Like, I could see Perrin coming over this thing late. You know what I mean? I could see him working his way back into this fight after giving up the first round and punching his way back into it. But I also can see Jay Perrin getting tied into a pretzel and have Raul Rosas Jr. like the knee bar he tried from back position in his last fight. Like, that was like, there's not a lot of people that are going to be able to defend that. Trust me, that's not a comfortable position to be in. And he's going to have that height and reach advantage. He'll have the long, lanky limbs. I do think I'm going to side with the kid here. There will be chances to fade him. I personally don't think this is the one. Bryce Mitchell taking on Ilia Topuria, the people's main event this week, right? Both guys came in 146. Bryce Mitchell was as intense as I've ever seen a human being today. Like, this man has dead eyes on the scale. Every single time he sees Ilia Topuria, he is deadlocked in on his opponent. Absolutely unbreakable focus, piercing gaze from Bryce Mitchell. And Ilia Topuria, on the other hand, I mean, we know this guy thrives on emotion, right? Like, he's getting hyped up. He's trying to mess with his opponent. He's trying to make Bryce Mitchell flinch. And then he got really worked up at the end of this face-off. And I think it's because Bryce Mitchell is winning the mental battle. Ilia Topuria seems upset that he's not getting reactions. Ilia Topuria seems bothered by the fact that Bryce Mitchell is not biting on his antics. It seems like Bryce Mitchell is winning this thing literally without trying. Like, he's just so laser focused that it's getting to Ilia Topuria. And Topuria seems like he's starting to fight emotionally. I love this fight. I cannot wait to see what happens here. Topuria is a minus 145 favorite. Bryce Mitchell is a plus 125 dog. And again, another spot where I see everybody with massive opinions on both sides of this thing. There is a lot of opinion on both sides of this fight. And you can justify both sides. Both guys are undefeated. This is a spot where you've got everything you want from either side of this thing and can justify a bet on it. I am going to once again revert back to my original thought process on this. Another one where I've kind of bounced back and forth and been a little uncomfortable because it's such a close fight. You could argue for either guy. I'm going to say Thug Nasty. I'm going to say Bryce Mitchell. And you know what? There's not a lot in this card that's going to get the tinfoil hat, but I'm going to say the mental aspect of it is what's going to do it. You know, he's coming in with the right attitude. I like to see what Bryce Mitchell is coming with here. The fact that he is dead laser locked in on his opponent, and it doesn't matter what the kid says. It doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter how he moves. Like, Bryce Mitchell is not moving to defend himself. He's not moving to walk away. He's not moving to have anybody hold him back. Like, it's just violent confidence, and you can feel it coming from him. That's the kind of thing that I'm like, I think Bryce Mitchell's got this one. Now, I do think it's going to be a decision. I do think it's going to be wrestling. I do think it's going to take him, the full 15 minutes to get it done. Maybe he's got some improved wrestling chops. This should be a good, solid back and forth type of fight. But at the end of the day, I think Thug Nasty gets his hand raised. All right, everybody. We're getting down to the end of this card. We got Dricus du Plessis taking on Darren Till. Du Plessis 185, Till 184.5. And Dricus is in stupid good shape. Like, we know that always, right? This man is just absolutely huge. He's got one of the weirdest physiques I've ever seen. The upper body has so much muscle on it. It really doesn't make sense. Darren Till, this is the best shape he has ever been in. Like, he's showing his abs off, his interview with Michael Bisping and stuff like that, where he was showing off a little bit. Like, he looks phenomenal. He looks absolutely fantastic coming into this fight here. When they go to face off, though, Darren Till, like, obviously avoided his opponent at the presser. When his opponent was trying to get in under his skin and trying to, like, start the beef and mock him and make fun of him, he wanted nothing to do with it. And he just, like, straight up was like, I'm not beefing with anybody today, man. Like, it's like a matured Darren Till. And that's great. But then today at the face-offs, he wears, like, sunglasses and like a do-rag around his mouth so he looks like a freaking cowboy or he's going to rob a bank. And he didn't face off with Dricus. He goes up there and faces the crowd, like, stomps and turns sideways and faces the crowd. Like, Dricus is all locked in on his opponent. Darren Till won't look him in the eye at the face-offs and doesn't want anything to do with talking to him. Like, this is kind of the opposite of the other situation where I'm like, man, like, does Darren Till want to be here right now? Like, I got to wonder where this kid's confidence is at. We've talked about this before. I worry about the confidence of Darren Till because he has been beaten so many times. He's coming off injuries. He's been hurt. He's been knocked out. He's been finished. And now he's coming up against this killer who, by the way, has a size advantage. Another spot where I'm like, I think these guys are going to size up relatively well. No, Dricus is fucking huge. There's a reason Darren Till tried to make 170 pounds, and it's guys like Dricus du Plessis. The one thing I'm probably going to bet on in this fight is an under. That's a spot that I have been looking at all week, and it looks like it's taken some action. The under 2.5 over on Superbook Sports is minus 155. Now, Dricus does everything in the world that he can to get himself knocked out. The way he blitzes in, the way he rushes his opponents, he leaves his chin wide open to be cracked. And I do think Darren Till does have the skill set to at least hit that counter and go ahead and put his opponent down that way. But we've seen Darren Till rocked. We've seen him hurt. We've seen him submitted. All those things have absolutely happened to him very recently in his UFC career. And Dricus is a much bigger man who's got a 100% finish rate in the UFC, who's coming at him violently in this spot. I think I am going to once again just be like, okay, like, Give me my final opportunity to fade Darren Till. I'm going to bet the under. I'm going to bet the under because Darren can win this thing. Darren can also finish, and I don't want to step in front of that necessarily. I think someone's going to sleep. I think it's probably going to be Till. But would I be shocked if he hit a fadeaway left hook and knocked his guy out? Not at all. Not at all. Darren Till can absolutely win this. All right, everybody. We got 70 viewers here on this Undefeated post-weigh-in show live. Thank you guys for rocking with me on a Friday night. Can't wait for these fights tomorrow. WW saying, Clint, this fight won't last 2 rounds, under 2.5 and even 1.5. I'm glad you see that with me. I'm glad you're agreeing on that point with me because I do think this is a violent fight. Just the way Dricus engages, I can't see this thing going long. It's as simple as that. Till can counter however he wants. I don't see Dricus letting this fight go very far. Next up, we've got the short notice fight here. Alex Morono taking on Santiago Ponzinibbio. Both guys made 179.5. This is a 180-pound catch weight because of the late notice fill in here. Morono actually looked really good. Like coming in on short notice, he had a little bit of pudge around his waist, but I mean, like he's, coming off the couch essentially to make this fight here. Santiago Ponzinibbio looked fantastic, very relaxed, fantastic shape. You can see his abs. He took this camp seriously. You could tell his body's in the right spot for an actual fight. He was late. He was last. I mean, come on, man. Coming in at catch weight, held everybody up, made us stay on the live stream for like a good 40 extra minutes because he was late to the dance here. When they face off, Morono's bigger than Ponz. Words I never thought I'd say. I had no idea that Alex Morono was bigger and taller than Santiago Ponzinibbio is. This is an interesting spot where I've talked about it all week. The level of competition is staggeringly different. Santiago Ponzinibbio has been fighting guys who have been in the contenders circle or guys who have been with the company for a very long time. Like he's only ever been fighting the upper echelon of this weight class, whereas Alex Morono has been scraping by guys that are getting dropped by the UFC. So it's a drastic level of difference. After I ended the Sharp Action report, like right after I jumped off, I get that little ding notification that I got a private message. My guy Andrew messaged me and goes, dude, don't understand it. Sharp bet on Alex Morono. Like everyone's coming in on the dog and piling hand over fist on Alex Morono, according to Superbook Sports. It's been one-way traffic. Alex Morono has been the only guy receiving any type of action. He was minus 180. He's down to minus 165 is Santiago Ponzinibbio. Plus 145 the comeback on the underdog, Alex Morono. I kind of like the over 2.5 here. The way these guys tend to fight, they're both tough. They're both durable, high volume. It's going to be a fun fight, but I do think it probably goes to 15 minutes. But again, another spot where I'm just not comfortable laying that. Both guys have been finished. And with the short notice aspect of it, don't really know how the cardio is going to hold up for Alex Morono. Don't know how he takes the bigger shots of Santiago Ponzinibbio. Maybe older Santiago Ponzinibbio is chipped and he can get clipped in this spot. Like it's a fight that I really just want nothing to do with. Nothing to do with. This is a fight that I would say is favored or pass, but the Sharp Action apparently is telling me that I'm incorrect on that. So absolutely passing. Mike in the chat asking any Bellator locks. Mike, buddy, have you seen what's going on in Bellator right now? Bellator is chalk city. Tonight is what the fuck. Like, you've got a 20-1 favorite going down by round 1 KO. You've had 2 or 3 4-1 underdogs coming through very recently. Like, if anybody's changing the guard, like all those events of chalk parlays, chalk parlays, when none of the underdogs ever come through, all that variance is swinging immediately to the other side, and it's happening tonight. All the big underdogs are coming through. And in fact, I'm looking to see whose hand gets raised because I think, right, another plus 280 underdog just hit in Bellator. I bet Patchy Mix. So that's the one bet that I made tonight in Bellator is Patchy Mix. And now I'm scared shitless because all these underdogs on the undercard coming through, like you got to think one of these favorites is going to break through, right? Like, of course it's going to be the minus 110 or minus 125 favorite that I bet against that's going to end up getting it done when these minus 4 and minus 500s can't pull the shit off. Tonight's insanity. Don't bet Bellator right now, folks. Like, just stay away. All right. Next fight up is the co-main event. Jared Gordon taking on Paddy the Baddie Pimblett. Jared Gordon, it looks like, came in at 155.5. Paddy did need that extra half pound. 156 is the weight. Big confident smile and flex for Jared Gordon. This is easy. Like I said, this man really kind of belongs down at 145. Can't quite get the weight under control to get down there, so he doesn't have much of a hard time making 155. Paddy on the other side of things, woo, this man is shredded. Oh my God. Like, Paddy's been taking his strength and conditioning very seriously. He's been talking about that. That's been something in the lead up to this, is he's working on the strength and conditioning aspect. And you can tell, physically speaking, he had crazy abs popping out there. A bit of a blank stare on him, though. He does not like cutting weight. That's one of those things, though. I'm not too worried about it because we know Paddy is a fatty. Like, he doesn't like cutting weight and he likes getting heavy in the off season. Like, this is the worst day of the year of the process for Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. We know this. So I'm not going to look too far into that. It is what it is. But this is a fight where, man, obviously, crowd, size, sharp, like all the money, it's all on Paddy. It's one-way traffic here. I got to kind of swim with the stream on this one. I know there's a couple of people out there that are sharp that are kind of trying to stick their, flag in the sand and go with Jared Gordon on the flip side of this thing. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Like, there's so many people out there that are going to try and take that stab on Jared Gordon. You guys know me. I have never been a big fan of Jared Gordon. I have never been the guy who thought much of Jared Gordon. I think he's in trouble in this spot. He either wins by a close, grindy decision or he gets finished. I think Paddy the Baddy's going to come out and finish him. Paddy's getting bigger. He's getting stronger. He did get taken down in a couple fights. Maybe he'll get controlled, but he knows how to sweep. He knows how to reverse. He knows how to take the back. And if he does all those things, I think he can get back up to the feet. And I think a big knee coming in can be the undoing of Jared Gordon. So yeah, I'm picking Paddy the Baddy, but again, another spot where I just can't justify laying minus 255. Paddy opened up as like a minus 145 favorite. That makes sense to me. It's a big test. Lay the minus 145. But when this thing is up to $2.55, like, I can't get there. Yeah, you've missed the boat at that point. You're late to the party. I'm definitely not going to be jumping in on Paddy. When I do my full card parlay, I parlay every leg of this thing together and hope I get lucky and get them all right. I will have Paddy the Baddy selected, but it's not going to be a guy that I'm going to have a big investment on straight. Sean V saying that Gordon is the type of fighter that Paddy struggles with, though, and that's exactly right. Exactly right. Mike saying that I think Gordon is live, but co-main event in a showcase spot card. So it's not Gordon they're showcasing. And you couldn't have hit the nail on the head any better than that, Mike. Like, there's a reason. There's a reason they are here. WW saying one thing is fact. Paddy is a fade on DraftKings because he can only sub for Gordon in round 3, and Paddy has no takedown upside. Hey, if you're a DraftKings player, that's a nice little note there for you. All right, folks, main event time. Jan Blachowicz taking on Magomed and Ankalaev. We've got Jan coming in at 204.5. No issues whatsoever. My guy Jan up there looking solid, looking mean, looking angry. Magomed and Ankalaev 205 on the dot. Gave a big Hulk and flex. Like, these are big 205-pound men. He looked fantastic. Good face-off here. Slight size advantage for Magomed. I mean, we're talking like a half an inch of a height advantage here. My guy Jan came in with some emotion, stepped in close, went nose to nose, looking angry. Like, this guy is ready to get his belt back. I absolutely love everything I'm seeing from Jan Blachowicz here. The problem is, once again, this is rocking the boat, right? Like, Magomed Ankalaev is being put in this spot. He's been the uncrowned king of this division for the last 2 years. Like, everybody's been ready for this guy to get the title shot. Everybody's expecting this man to come in, take over, get the win easily. And he has so far. He's looked phenomenal. He's looked spectacular so far in his UFC run, except for the one blip on the radar where he gave up a third round triangle choke very, very deep in the fight. And it's a spot where I want to bet Jan. I really do. Because the one thing that I've seen Magomed struggle with is the boxing range. And Jan has fast hands, and that's where he does his best work. I also know that Jan struggles with the takedowns. He struggles to get back up. His get-up game is highly questionable, and with those things all kind of going on for him, Magomed can just grind out, 1 or 2 rounds at a time. If he happens to come out here and do one more takedown than he usually does, he's going to bank a couple of rounds very, very quickly, very, very easily that way. I struggle to actually get to a bet here. I may end up throwing just kind of like a half unit stab at like Jan by knockout, because that's kind of how he gets it done as an underdog. I don't think he's going to win a 25-minute decision here. I do think it's going to be predicated on him getting some kind of a finish if he's going to pull this off. So maybe I take a sprinkle that way or something like that. But guys, here's the thing. Usually, these big pay-per-view cards, usually The chalk is trustworthy. Usually in these big pay-per-view cards, you know what kind of fighter you're getting. We've lost all the good fights. We've lost all the good fighters. They've canceled all that shit. So what this is a Dana White Contender Series showcase. We've got a bunch of young, untrustworthy fighters coming in here. We've got a bunch of short notice fill-ins. We got a bunch of, the main and co-main event are shoehorned into position because we lost the real main and co-main event. This is a sketchy ass card. Be careful tomorrow. This isn't the one where I think you can just go full ham on and unload the back of the dump truck. Like, if you want to steer into the variance, if you want to take some shots on some of these underdogs, the Dana White Contender Series fade spots, the type of fighters that you're not really expecting to show up and get the win, but guys that are live versus favorites that are overpriced, I kind of think that's the move on this card. I do think there's going to be a lot of variance in this spot. So I think a couple of those, big dogs probably do go ahead and come home and get through. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm not rapid firing. WW does say, bet Jan and forget about it. Thank me later. Hey, you know what? Honestly, WW, that's what the guy's been doing. Like, he just did done. Like, as an underdog, he just comes through. So I can't argue against that. And my gut does tell me he's live here. So maybe I do. Maybe I jump in on a 1 unit shot on Magomed or on Jan. We'll see how it goes. I want to see if I can cash my patchy mix bet tonight here. But what I've got right now, just kind of a recap for you guys, since we're doing this live, why the hell not? Usually I keep it a little bit tighter, but we're here. So let's go. We do have the golden boy, Edmund Shabazz, inside the distance, -115, 2.3 units to win 2. And then I do have a full 1 unit on the sub because I truly believe that that's something he is going to be trying to go ahead and show off here in this spot. Edmund Shabazz probably most likely gets a knockout. That's exactly what he does. But I think he's going to try and flex some of his new techniques and styles. So I do think that that sub has a shot. 8-1 is a fun number for a kid that should be able to go ahead and get this win and pay off that price tag. As far as bets that I am looking at making, I'll be honest with you guys, like I'm kind of tempted to tail the steam on Alex Morono because of all that sharp action coming in the other way. I kind of, you know me, if somebody's smarter than me, I will jump on those coattails, no problem. So I'm tempted to throw a little bit on Alex Morono coming in here on short notice, but probably not going to do anything there. I like my guy Chris Curtis at +140 and the over 1.5 in that fight. Those might get my money. I like the under 2.5 in Darren Till and Dricus du Plessis. I think that's the actual spot that I'm going to bet. Like, if there's anything that's a lean that I'm like, yeah, I'm going to end up on it, it's the under in Darren Till and Dricus du Plessis. I don't see that fight lasting very long. So I will likely be betting that one. And then maybe Jairzinho Rosenstruik, maybe my guy Chris Curtis, maybe TJ Brown. Like, those, that's kind of where I'm at. But again, I'm just so not confident in those other spots. I like my Edmund Shabazz spot. So I'm going to try to bank on just kind of smash and grabbing. You know what I mean? If I can get a little win on Edmund Shabazz in a spot that I like, a spot I feel comfortable on, and get the hell out of Dodge without losing any units, taking some of these more speculative positions, I think that's what I'm going to do for this event. I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's see what everybody's got to say here. Let's see here. I don't know what this means. Mark Jacobs, do you know your all over betting record with him? Oh, my betting record. Okay, so Mark Jacobs asking what the betting record is. So for 2022, it's awful. I am down bad in 2022. But yes, my overall record since I started the podcast, so back since 2019, I'm basically alternating win and losing years. I've gone 2 positive, 2 negative at this point, and I think I'm sitting at a net of like -8 units. So for some guy with a podcast chilling here talking fights, having a gloriously bad year, down 60-ish units this season because I've made some unforgivable mistakes. Not bad to only be down ever so slightly, lifetime doing this thing. Mike says, just hammered 4 units on Rosenstruik, 1.5 unit on Rosen by KO. Don't mind it, Mike. Don't mind it at all. I like it. We've got my guy Kogan here saying, Paddy towering baddie. He's huge compared to little bad Gordon. I agree, man. And that's where he's a big dude compared to Gordon. Gordon is a guy that I think should be down at 145 if he could just get there. Can't quite do it. Handicap UFC saying everyone betting du Plessis don't watch film. No, I completely agree. I think there's openings for Darren Till. The problem is here, I can't trust freaking Till. Like, that's kind of all it comes down to for me is, yeah, I hear you. I see the exact same that you see here in this spot. I'm a Till hater. I'm a Till fader. I can't bring myself to bet on Darren freaking Till in this spot, especially after that long injury layoff. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. Raw Torque saying Silva money line. I like it. And yeah, Mike saying we're not going to talk about it. That's right. That's it. We're almost to January, baby. Hard reset. I can start saying the 2023 record is 0-0. We're going to get that new lease on life here in about a month. All right, everybody. That is the Undefeated post weigh-in show. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. If you haven't done it already, give me some support here. Give me some love. Hit the like button for me. Good luck tomorrow, everybody. Usually I live tweet during the fights. We're having our annual family Christmas party tomorrow, so I'm probably only going to be live for like the prelims. I'm going to have to watch these fights late. I'm going to have to like buy the pay-per-view and then go back and watch it afterwards because my wife's going to make me turn the TV off during the damn party. So unfortunately, to be sweating sweating longer than normal. I'm going to have to lock these bets in and then hold my nose and pray they get home for me while I'm not able to actually watch them. And I hate that. Absolutely hate doing that. So good luck, everybody. I wish you nothing but the purest of luck tomorrow. Kick some ass, cash some tickets. I'll be tweeting out my final card tomorrow morning, as always, at my handle right there at Die Hard MMA Pod. Give me a follow. I just hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. Thank you for the support. Get out of here. Be good. Have a good one. Let's roll.